Right, the 2014 question was question 4, paper 1 was factorising, and this is such a typical question that comes up year and year again. So really important that you know how to factorise and how you do all 4 types of factorising. So this one is grouping, this one is difference of 2 squares, this one is taking out the highest common factor, this one is your quadratic. Okay, and you're looking for this word factorize. That's how you know it's a factorization question. So how did I know this was grouping? Well, the easiest way to spot grouping is that it has 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and we need to group because if we look across at all of those terms, you will spot that there is nothing that divides into every single term. So for example, 2. 2 divides into 8, divides into 12, divides into 6, doesn't divide into 9. 3 divides into 9, 6 and 12, not into 8. A, here, here and here, but not into this one. Okay, and it doesn't matter what you pick, that's going to be the same scenario. So nothing is common with all terms. So what we do then is we split them into, or we group them into pairs, 2 terms and 2 terms, and we take out what's common. Now, the good news is it doesn't really matter what groupings you make. You just look at the terms and you see, can you spot something in common? So if I look at the way they're written now, I can see if I look at these 2 terms, I see 3 divides into 6 and 9, and I see A is common as well. So that's good. And if I look at these 2 terms, I see that C is common, and also 4 divides in as well. Okay, so you're doing the letters and you're doing the numbers. So to do this, I tend to put these things here, which shows the examiner what I'm grouping together. Okay, and if I was to group something else, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to show you how I would group something else in a minute. But let's go ahead with this way. So what's common between 9a squared and 6ab? So in other words, what are its factors? So if I look at the factors of 9a squared, I know the factors of 9 are 9 by 1, they're 3 by 3, and the factors of a squared is a by a. Okay, and if I look at the factors of 6ab, well, the factors of 6 are 6 by 1, 2 by 3, and then the factors of AB are quite simply A by B. Okay, so if I look for what's common, because that's what you mean by taking out the highest common factor, the highest number they have in common is the 3 and the A. Okay, so that's what goes on the outside, the 3 and the A. And you're going, well, what's left over? Well, there's another 3 on the 9 because 3 3s are 9, and there's another A. Okay, then the minus, the factors of 6, well, the 3 is on the outside, so the other factor is 2, and the factors of AB, the factors of AB are A by B, with the A is on the outside, and there's the B. Okay, so that's what it means to take out what the highest common factor, or to do grouping, because grouping is taking out the highest common factor, it's just you do it twice. Okay, we tend not to write this piece down. We tend to do this bit in our head, okay, which is why some people find it more difficult than others, because they can't see what's happening in the background. But this is what's happening in the background. Okay, so let me clean him out and let's look at the next bit. Well, I have 12AC and I have 8BC. So the factors of 12, well, 12 by 1, 6 by 2, 4 by 3. The factors of AC, well, that's A by C. Okay, the factors here, the factors of 8, 8 by 1, 4 by 2, and the factors of BC are B by C. So again, what's the highest common factor of these 2 terms? Well, the highest number, 2 is definitely common, but 4 is the highest one. Okay, and then the letter, well, they have a C in common. Okay, so that's how I know that it's this pair of factors I take. Okay, I don't look at 12 and 1 and 6 and 2. I look at which pair had the highest common factor. Okay, so I'm going to take the 4 outside. And so the number left over here in 12 is 4 3s are 12, and the letter left over is C. Is A, sorry. because I forgot to put the C on the outside. The C is also common. You can see the C is here and the C is here. And then my sign, okay, so I need a minus here, I have a plus here, so plus by minus gives me that minus. That's how I knew it was a minus, went in the middle. And then 4 by what? Well, 4 by 2 gives me 8. A B by C gives me C, gives me BC. Okay, so again, that bit normally gets done in the head. How do you know you're right? Well, you know you've taken out the highest common factor and you're right when these two brackets are the same. They have the same terms, they have the same sign. So what you do then is you group these two together into one bracket, 3a plus 4c, and then you write down the other bracket once. And that's it done. That's grouping. So full marks for that particular part. Okay, I'm just going to write this one a bit smaller because I've gone over on the other part. Okay, so full marks, they are the factors of 9a squared minus 6ab plus 12ac minus 8bc. In other words, if I split this first bracket and I do 3a by everything in the second bracket plus 4c by everything in the second bracket, so in other words, if I multiply out those brackets, you are going to get back to what was in your question. Okay, so see that? See how that matches perfectly with him. Okay, so that's what it means to factorize. Okay, this one I know as the difference of two squares. Okay, now a square number is a number that has a perfect square number is one that can be square rooted. So 1 squared is 1. These are my perfect square numbers. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, and so on. I can always go x squared is a perfect square number, y to be squared. These are all perfect square numbers. Okay, so when you're getting the difference of two squares, everything has to be what we call a perfect square. In other words, is 9 a perfect square? Yes, it is, because 3 squared gives me 9. Okay, and how you check this on your calculator is you put into your calculator the square root of 9. And if you get a whole number, then you know that you have a perfect square number. 16 is a perfect square number. Square root of 16 on your calculator will give you 4. X squared is a perfect square number. X by x is x squared. Y squared is a perfect square number. Okay, so, and it's the difference, and difference means take away. So it has to be a minus in the middle. That's your first thing you're looking for. And then after you spot the minus in the middle of two terms, you are going, are these perfect squares? So that's your difference of two squares. Okay, and then there's a formula. Okay, and each book writes it out slightly different, but what you'd have is x squared minus y squared is equal to x minus y x plus y. Okay, so that's the formula for the difference of two squares. Now, what does it mean? Okay, well, how do I apply that formula to this question? Well, what you do is you have to develop the brackets just like they're here. So what squared gives you 9x squared, and you have to develop the bracket here. What squared gives me 16y squared. Okay, so what squared gives me 9? Well, 3. What squared gives me x squared? Well, x. Okay, and what squared gives me 16? 4. What squared gives me y squared? It's y. Okay, so that's that part you have developed. So when they just put a single x and a y in a bracket here, that could stand for anything. It could be a number, it could be a letter, it could be A or B. It's just going, no matter what you have here, develop these brackets and put terms in the middle. Okay, and then you do this part of it. Okay, so that's equal to the first term minus the second term, the first term plus the second term. So my first term is 3x, my second term is 4y. So it's 3x minus 4y, 3x plus 4y. Okay, it doesn't matter which bracket is plus and minus. So you would have been perfectly correct going 3x plus 4y by 3x minus 4y. Okay, that's the exact same answer. And that is the difference of two squares. This piece here is your answer. In other words, again, if I multiply out these brackets, just like I did in the other one, and I'll do that for you. So 3x by 3x is 9x squared. 3x by plus 4y is 12xy. Minus 4y by 3x is minus 12xy. Minus by plus is a minus. 4 4s, 16y squared. The two terms always cancel in the middle when the numbers are the same and the signs are different. So that's how I get back to just two terms, which is always what's in the difference of two squares. Okay, let's have a look at part C. So this is an algebraic fraction, and it's saying use factors to simplify the following. Very typical question on a higher level. So these two parts come up on ordinary level. You wouldn't see this type of question written like this for lower level. But what you do is you do the two lines separately. So you do your top line, which is 2x squared plus 4x. Okay. And you're wondering, well, what type of factorizing is this? Well, it's not grouping because there's not four terms. It's not the difference of anything because there's no minus in the middle. It's not a quadratic because it doesn't have the three terms. So the only one left is taking out the highest common factor. Okay, so just like we did before, you can do this part in your head. The factors of 2 is 2 by 1. There are no other factors. The factors of x are x by x. And the factors of 4 is 2 by 2 or 4 by 1. And x is a letter all on its own. Okay. So what's common? Well, the highest one is 2. And there's also an x common between the two terms. So on the outside goes that 2x. Okay, and then what's left over? Well, I could put in 1x if I wanted, or just a single x. What's left over here? Plus 2. Okay, and you can do this in your head when you get good at it. You can go, what's common here? Well, I see common between 2 and 4 is the number 2. And I see there's an x common between here and here. So that goes on the outside. And then what's left over? If I have 2x out here, I need another x to bring it up to x squared. And then you're looking here, I have 2x outside. I need to multiply it by 2 to bring it up to the 4. And you can start to do that in your head when you get comfortable at factorizing. Okay, so I can't write that any simpler. That's it. So I go for the bottom line. And my bottom line is 2x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, so this is a factorizing. So at some stage, I'm going to need bracket, 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 bracket to factorize a quadratic. Okay, so there's a couple of ways this gets taught. The way I like to do it is when there's a number in front of x squared, like we do here, my guide number consists of this multiplied by this. So 2 times minus 6 is the guide number that I would like to use, okay? So if you think about a quadratic, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. That's the form of any quadratic. So my guide number is a multiplied by c, okay? So in my case, it's the 2 by the minus 6, so it's minus 12, okay? So minus 12. So the factors of minus 12. Minus 12 by plus 1, plus 12 by minus 1. Minus 6 by plus 2, And you see, I always do my signs with them. And when it's a minus, the signs must be different. Okay, because plus by minus is a minus. So that's why I'm going -6, but I know that +6 minus 2, the same pair of numbers with opposite signs, gives me -12. And then 4 3s, okay, so a plus and a minus, but I also need the other option where the 4 was a minus and the 3 was a plus. And they are all the factors of -12. And then I'm looking which line of them, does they all meet the condition of being factors -12, which line, when I add them together, gives me +1 in the middle. So it's this line here. Okay, 4 minus 3 is 1. So what I do, again, this is how I do it when there's a number in front of x squared, is I take down my 2x squared, and instead of plus x, I write plus 4x minus 3x. Now, where did I get that from? There's my plus 4, and I just put an x after it, minus 3, and I put an x after it, okay? So I have rewritten that plus x as plus 4 minus 3. So the answer is the same, I've just rewritten it, okay? And then, of course, I need this -6 as well. So you can see the first two parts are the same, but it's just the middle part that I've written different. And then I group them together. Okay, just like we did grouping on this example here. So what's common between 2x squared and 4x? Well, the 2 divides into both of them, and an x will divide into both of them. And if you need more practice, write out the factors like I've been doing for the last few, and make sure that you can do that. Okay, where did the middle come out of? Well, I had 2x there, so I need another x, and I need a 2 to bring it up to 4x, okay? And then what's common between -3x and -6? Well, the minus is common, and the 3 is common. What's left over? Well, I have -3 on the outside, so I need an x. Now, I need a minus up here, and I already have a minus here, so minus by plus to give me that minus. So the middle sign must be a plus. And 3 by what gives me 6? The factors of 6, 3 2's. Am I right? Yes, I am, because the middle brackets are the same. So group the outside together and write down this one. Okay, so that's how I do quadratics if there's a number in front of x squared, okay? Of course, the other way is trial and error. So this is the alternative way of doing it. Well, you know the factors of 2x are 2x and x, okay? And then you're looking for the factors of 6 again. I think this is a harder way of doing it because you have to guess, okay? Now you have to multiply the 2x, you multiply these two numbers together and these two numbers together, and they have to add up. That shouldn't be a minus, that should be a plus. They have to add up to give you the plus in the middle. Okay, so in other words, you could try putting the, for example, -6 here and +1 here. And then you get +1x, and on the outside you get -12x, and you can see that gives you -11. Okay, so it wasn't those options. So it's going to be a 3 and a 2. So you'd put the 2 here and you'd put 3 here. And then you're figuring out the signs. Okay, well, that's a 3x, and 2 2's is the 4x. So I need the 4 to be a plus and the 3 to be a minus. So the plus goes there and the minus goes there. Okay, and you can see that you get the same answer. Of course you get the same answer because it's the same quadratic. Okay, it just depends on how you get there. Some people are really good at doing this method. They just see it straight away. And if that's you, by all means, do it that way. If you struggle with seeing it this way, then this way might suit you better. It is longer, but you're guaranteed to at least get the right answers down here. But it is longer. It's 2 lines longer. Okay, so either way, it doesn't matter how you come to getting these factors, this is what you need. Okay, so you combine them then. So that was step 1, you do the top line. Step 2 was the bottom line. Step 3, combine them. So by that I mean, this was my question. Instead of writing it like that, I'll write it as the factors that I just found. Okay, now this is where you have to be careful. You can only cancel full factors, so full brackets. So x plus 2 does cancel with x plus 2, but I cannot cancel 2x there with 2x here. Okay, and the reason for that lies in BOM-DES. I have to resolve this bracket first before I can do any cancelling. Okay, so your answer is in fact 2x over 2x minus 3. Okay, and that's using factors. We simplified it to this.